Hi my friends, it's me Jessica. Please subscribe my channel now. Let's start. There are things women feel deeply but rarely speak aloud. Desires that live quietly in the heart. Unspoken not because they're shameful but because they're sacred. They come from a place of emotional depth, not fantasy. From the need to be understood, not impressed. And when a man learns to see these desires for what they are, everything about the connection changes. The first hidden desire most women carry is to be emotionally seen. Not just looked at, not just admired, seen. To have someone look into her soul and notice the small details that even she overlooks. She wants to be seen when she's not smiling, when she's tired, when she's quiet. She hides this longing because she's been told for too long that vulnerability is weakness. That to be loved, she has to stay strong, keep smiling, keep it together. But deep down, she wants to exhale, to drop her guard and feel safe doing it. She wants a man who listens beyond her words, who feels the shift in her tone, who notices when she withdraws even slightly. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Because presence is love's language. She doesn't need constant attention, she needs attuned attention. The kind that says, I see you, even when you're hiding. That's why she sometimes tests silence. She steps back to see if he'll notice. She asks questions that sound simple but carry weight. She wants to know, not if he can fix her pain, but if he can hold space for it. And when she finds that kind of connection, she softens. The walls she's built start to fade, because she's not just looking for romance, she's looking for refuge. The second desire is something even deeper, to be emotionally led with safety. Not controlled, not dominated, but led, meaning guided with care, stability, and trust. Women desire a man whose calm doesn't disappear in chaos, someone who can carry her storms without judging her for having them. Because the truth is, she doesn't want to lead all the time. She's capable, she's independent. But beneath all that strength, there's a craving for balance, a man who gives her peace instead of pressure. She hides this because the world praises independence, but rarely honors interdependence. She fears that admitting she wants to feel safe in someone's energy makes her weak. It doesn't. It makes her human. What she really desires is the quiet strength of a man who leads from empathy, not ego. Who knows that being protective isn't about possession, it's about peace. Who can be firm without being harsh, grounded without being cold? Because a woman doesn't follow words, she follows energy. If your energy is calm, she can rest. If your presence is certain, she can trust. When a man creates that kind of emotional environment, her heart opens like a flower that's been waiting for sunlight. These two desires, to be seen and to feel safely led, are not about dependency. They are about emotional alignment, about the balance between strength and sensitivity. Every woman may express it differently, some through affection, others through distance. But the longing is the same, to feel known and safe in a world that often makes her hide both. So if you're a man listening to this, understand this truth. She doesn't want perfection. She doesn't need grand gestures or promises written in stars. She just wants your presence to be her peace, your awareness to be her reassurance, your emotional steadiness to be her shelter. Because when a woman feels truly seen and safely guided, she doesn't just love, she flourishes. And when she flourishes, she becomes a mirror that reflects the best parts of you. That's what intimacy really is. Not the physical closeness everyone talks about, but the emotional understanding few ever reach. Love isn't about possession or control, it's about resonance. It's about two hearts that finally feel safe enough to be real. So don't look for what impresses her. Look for what calms her. Don't try to fix her emotions. Learn to hold them. Because when you do, you'll see something rare, a woman who stops hiding her deepest desires because she's finally found someone who understands them. There's a kind of silence in every woman that speaks louder than words. It's the silence of unspoken hopes. The ones she carries in her heart, hoping someone will notice without her needing to explain. Most men hear her words, but only a few truly listen to her pauses. And that's where her first hidden desire lies, in the pauses. She doesn't want you to just hear her. She wants to be seen. Not for what she shows the world, but for what she hides from it. For the version of her that laughs when she's hurting, that keeps going when she's tired, that loves deeply but rarely says how much because she's been hurt for doing so before. She hides this desire because she's learned the world doesn't reward vulnerability, it preys on it. So she smiles when she's breaking, she stays strong when she's scared, and she says, I'm fine, when her heart is begging to be understood. When a man truly sees her, it feels almost spiritual, because she doesn't have to perform anymore. She doesn't have to be impressive, she can just be. Her armor falls off not because he asks her to, but because his presence makes it safe to. That's the power of being seen. It doesn't demand, it invites. It's not about staring at her beauty, it's about recognizing her essence, seeing how she reacts when she's uncomfortable, hearing what her tone hides, noticing how she checks on everyone but herself. It's about being emotionally fluent enough to catch what she doesn't say. That's when trust begins, when she feels your awareness before your words. Because a woman doesn't fall for looks, she falls for understanding. For the moment you say, "I noticed you've been quieter lately. Are you okay?" Instead of pretending not to see it, she falls for the man who can read her energy without needing a script. Because presence is rare and presence heals, she hides this desire because she's afraid of being too much, too emotional, too complicated, too sensitive. But what she really means when she says that is, "I'm afraid no one will have the patience to understand me." So when you do, when you make her feel that she's not too much but just enough, her heart starts to trust again. And here's the truth that many miss. When you see a woman emotionally, she doesn't just love you more, she respects you differently. Because being seen by a man who is emotionally grounded is like finally breathing after years of holding her breath. It's not about fixing her, it's about feeling her. And when you do, she doesn't have to hide anymore. That's what intimacy really is. Not two bodies, but two souls saying, "I see you, I understand." Because sometimes what she needs most is not for you to speak, but for you to stay. To sit in silence with her without trying to solve anything. To let her know that your presence doesn't fade when her emotions rise. That's when she starts to believe that love can be safe again. So yes, her first hidden desire is to be seen. To be seen when she's smiling, but also when she's breaking. To be loved not only in her confidence, but in her uncertainty. And when you give her that, when you meet her soul before her surface, you don't just win her attention, you earn her trust. Behind every strong, independent woman is a heart that still wants to rest. Not because she's weak, but because she's tired of being the only one holding everything together. She's learned to stand alone, to carry her world, to plan every step. But deep down, she craves a moment when she can finally exhale, when someone else's steadiness lets her breathe without fear of falling. That's the second desire she rarely admits. The wish to feel safe in a man's quiet leadership. Not control, not dominance, but direction, the kind that brings peace instead of pressure. She hides this because she's lived in times where trust was met with disappointment. She's seen promises break, boundaries blur, and words mean less than actions. So she tells herself, "I don't need anyone." And maybe she doesn't, but she still longs to be guided by someone who won't misuse her softness. A woman doesn't need a man to tell her what to do. She needs a man whose calm makes her believe everything will be okay. When his energy is centered, she relaxes. When his actions match his words, her walls lower. And when he stands firm during her storms, she remembers what safety feels like. It's not about him taking over her life. It's about him walking beside her with purpose. A man who leads from love doesn't drag her. He invites her forward. He doesn't shout to be heard. He listens to understand. He doesn't compete with her strength. He complements it. What most men don't realize is that emotional leadership isn't loud. It's consistency. It's showing up when you said you would. It's remembering the small things that matter to her. It's patience when she's distant, clarity when she's confused, and kindness even when she's guarded. That's the kind of leadership that awakens trust, not because he demands it, but because he earns it every day through who he is. When a woman senses that kind of strength, she softens naturally. Her laughter becomes freer, her tone lighter. She starts to move in rhythm with him without even trying. That's not submission, that's harmony. And harmony only exists where respect lives. She wants to know that when life gets chaotic, he won't disappear into his distractions, that he'll stay anchored, steady, so she can find her way back to calm through him. It's a quiet partnership built not on words but presence. Because a woman can only bloom where she feels secure enough to open. She hides this desire because the world often tells her she shouldn't need anyone. But wanting safety isn't weakness. It's humanity. And when she finally feels that peace in a man's presence, something inside her shifts. Her guard drops. Her laughter deepens. She becomes more of who she's always been. That's the beauty of being led by love. Not the love that controls, but the love that covers. It's the kind that says, "You can rest here, I've got you." And in that simple assurance, her spirit finds something she's been chasing for years, There comes a moment when a woman stops asking to be understood and starts pulling away instead, not out of anger, but exhaustion. Because after enough times of feeling unseen or unsafe, she learns silence is easier than disappointment. She starts to speak less, laugh less, and hope less. Not because she doesn't care anymore, but because caring started to feel like shouting into a void. But here's the truth few realize: women don't stop caring. They stop trying where they no longer feel seen or protected. And that's where relationships quietly begin to fade. Not in one big fight, but in those little emotional absences that go unnoticed. When a man learns to meet both of her hidden desires, to see her deeply and lead her gently, something powerful happens. She starts to return to herself, her spirit softens, her words carry warmth again, her energy shifts from defense to connection. Because suddenly, she's not in survival mode anymore. She's in trust. She no longer feels the need to prove her worth. She no longer measures her value by how much she gives. She finally understands that love isn't supposed to be earned through effort. It's supposed to be received through alignment. When she feels seen, she opens. When she feels safe, she follows. And when both exist together, she flourishes. That's when love becomes effortless. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. A man who can hold space for her emotions without fear isn't weak. He's wise. Because he knows that calm doesn't mean passive and leadership doesn't mean control. It means standing strong enough to let love flow without force. Most people look for fireworks in love. But the truth, the most lasting connections are quiet. They don't need grand gestures or endless words, just mutual understanding and emotional honesty. Because passion can ignite quickly, but peace sustains. She doesn't want a perfect man, she wants a present one. One who listens without fixing, stays without threatening, and leads without ego. A man whose presence whispers, "You're safe here." That's when she finally lets go of the past she's been carrying. And something beautiful happens then. She starts to mirror that energy back. The same safety he gives her, she returns as tenderness. The same understanding he offers, she multiplies through warmth. Because when a woman feels emotionally secure, her love doesn't just double, it overflows. That's what connection truly is, a reflection of the energy you bring. See her soul, and she'll open her heart. Make her feel safe, and she'll make you feel whole. It's not about changing her. It's about understanding the rhythm of her heart and learning how to move with it instead of against it. In the end, love isn't about control or pursuit. It's about alignment. Two energies choosing to meet where peace lives. And when that happens, you'll realize something powerful. The greatest intimacy is born not in touch, but in understanding. Not in words, but in presence. Not in wanting to be right, but in choosing to be kind. That's the truth about the desires women hide. They're not about mystery or games. They're about trust, safety, and being fully seen. When a man understands that, love stops being a battlefield and becomes what it was always meant to be, a home.